everyone.
Hello.
Today is Tuesday, August 4th. It's 6 p.m. and Brandon and I are on our way to a nearby beach park because we want to catch the sunset. And I just wanted to share a little bit about our intentions for today's video. I had an incredible journaling session this morning, as I have been having a lot of those recently. And one of the questions that I just straight up asked in my journal, by the way, this spread came out so beautiful. I'm so proud of it. I prayed and I said, what is that thing that's been exciting me, inspiring me, and that I could talk about unabashedly? Because that's what I want to talk about today. And as soon as I wrote down that question, I remembered, I was just prompted to check my email because one of our lovely viewers, Maddie, who we got to recently connect with on a video call, she suggested that we film a Q&A one day. So we asked her, hey, if there's anything you want us to answer specifically, please shoot us an email. And so I opened up her email, and that first question that she asked got me so excited. And basically, Maddie's question was, how did you guys know you wanted to marry each other? I wrote here in my journal that, oh my gosh, I have a list of things that I would love to share, very specific examples, I guess, of it's easier to see in hindsight, but what was so exciting to me is as I was reflecting on these instances that actually I think most of them I haven't even shared here on my YouTube channel. They really helped me remember just Brandon's character, the person that he is and how true it is today. In fact, how much truer it is as I've gotten to know him over the years. The other fun thing that it got me excited for this video is that I was cleaning the bathroom the other day and YouTube recommended my own video to me. And I was cleaning the bathroom and wiping down the counter, and I think I had gloves on, so I didn't want to go and bother and fuss with my phone, but I had it on autoplay, so it just started playing the husband tag that we filmed years ago. We've been married for 2 years at the time, and I watched the entire thing. I had so much fun watching it. It was just so funny even to see how kind of shy or awkward or even kind of standoffish you were seeming.
Yeah.
And anyway, I remember one of the questions in there was, how did you know Jenn was the one? And I know that you have this answer that maybe you can share again later.
Yeah.
But I watched that whole thing and I was just laughing at how much we've grown over the years, and really in a lot of ways how we haven't changed, at our core. So in today's video, what I really want to do is I just want to reflect on our relationship. I think one of the things I've been hearing a lot recently is the advice of just really enjoy this time that you guys have together before you become a family of 3. I think so much of my days these days is just this anticipation of oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet this baby, and I just keep looking forward. And I love that reminder to kind of just stay in the present and to enjoy the quiet times where we can just go on a date and spend time with each other, take naps together, because it'll never just be the two of us again. And as I was reflecting and just really appreciating the husband that I have, I'm also so excited for the father that you're going to be. As I was making this list of all the little ways that I felt I knew this is the guy that I want to marry, it just reminded me again of how much God cares for all the intimate details in our lives, and just how well he knows me and the things that really excite me and make me feel loved and make me go crazy in a good way. So I want to share those things with you. Okay, so we're gonna go set up. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna turn the camera around real quick and then we'll go set up.
I'm looking forward to today. As you know, and as my newsletter readers know, I've been struggling with a lot of self-doubt. So it's going to be good, I think, to hear some encouragement about some of the things that I'm not seeing.
Yeah, Brandon has no idea what's on these journal pages. I purposely would not share with him. I was you're gonna have to wait until the video. It's just so funny. Okay, my very first impression of you, it's funny to me now, but I remember it wasn't him being tall or handsome or whatever seems obvious, but you came and you sat next to me because we met at small group. and he came and sat in the empty seat next to me. And I remember you were like getting situated and you pulled out a Moleskine. I was like, whoa, this guy journals? This was back in
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to share about how that journal was by accident?
Yeah, it was totally by accident. It was just one of those branded items that we had lying around the office. My boss had it and he wasn't using it, and I was like, oh cool, there's Reebok's branding's on there. And he's like, you want it? Sure thing, boss. I took it, and that was my notebook.
Yeah, but that definitely caught my attention.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing that I noticed. I mean, not that made me feel like, oh my God, I want to marry you, but it's just funny to think about it in hindsight.
First impression.
So the other thing that I remembered from that first meeting was after small group was over, you very casually just asked if like I wanted to go eat with you. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I immediately said no because I didn't want to give off the wrong impression that like I was gonna go eat with you because we just met.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were just talking from like the group ending, and you walked me all the way to the subway station.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, he went all the way down up until the part where I would scan my card to get on. And I just remember thinking that was so chivalrous of you. And chivalry was just not something that I was like accustomed to living in Korea. And so I was like, wow, that was really nice. That really left a lasting impression on me.
Nice.
And you still very much do that. Like you're very chivalrous. Even though if I have things that I'm very capable of carrying, you always offer, you still open doors for me. And all these little things that I still very much appreciate to this day. When we were friends, we decided, I told him, I'm like, there was a beautiful park near where I lived. And I lived about 40 minutes away from Brandon. So he was like more like central Seoul, and I was like on the outskirts. And there was a beautiful park near my house. And I remember like when you and I were talking, we were just friends. I had told you that I really wanted to go on a picnic. So we organized a picnic.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time your parents had access to the army base, so you can get all of these things, ingredients and like certain like food products that I couldn't get access to.
Yeah. At the time, I think it was avocados and like a
natural peanut butter. Yeah, which was like non-existent.
Yeah.
Avocados too. I mean, you could find them in Korea sometimes, but they were so expensive.
Yeah.
But I remember you were like putting together a grocery list for this picnic. And one of the things that was such a standout for me was you specifically asked me, how would you like the apples and the avocados cut for this picnic? And when you met me for this picnic, like everything was in nice little Tupperwares, and I was like, oh my gosh. Again, we weren't even dating at this time.
No, we were just friends.
We were just friends. And I just remember being, I don't know, maybe that was one of the first times that I really felt kind of gushy or mushy towards you. What else? Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm gonna do that for every single one. This was like one of the most magical things. I think at this point I was like, I'm gonna marry you.
Wow.
Okay, me and my two girlfriends at the time, you know what I'm gonna say?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever shared this on YouTube. We were gonna go to Jeju for a girls trip, and Jeju is an island in Korea, and a lot of people go to honeymoon there, right?
Yeah, it's off the south of Korea, so it tends to be warmer, and it's got a nice island vibe.
Yeah, so me and my girlfriends, we needed a ride to the airport. I remember you offering.
Yep.
You offered to take us. And I believe where you lived at the time might have been closer to the airport. It was closer to, okay. And he was like one of the few people that I knew in Korea that had a car.
Yep.
Because most of the people that I was surrounded with were all expats, right? We're there very temporarily. That's not a thing. And I remember you offered, and I thought, wow, that was so sweet. You offered your apartment for me and my friends to stay in so that we could sleep there. And then the next day, you would drive us to the airport.
Yep.
And so after work, the three of us, we head to Brandon's apartment. He's not home. I punch in the door code and I walk in. And okay, first of all, Brandon had such a nice apartment, right?
Yeah.
It was a really nice apartment.
Love that apartment.
It was such a bachelor pad. And we walk in, and what you see is he had rearranged his furniture, like his couch was pushed to the side, and he had set up beds in the living room. With the beds were made, there was a towel and a clean pillow, there were chocolates. See, I'm not much of a chocolate person, but I loved Ferrero Rocher. Is that how you say it? And you had Ferrero Rocher on the pillowcases.
Oh, I forgot which kind of chocolate I bought. But I remember now, yeah.
And I remember walking in and just, it like took my breath away. I mean, did you think that you would get that reaction from me?
I figured you'd appreciate it, but like, I think all to the depths at which you do. Yeah.
Okay, so I remember back then I was using Twitter just to like capture little thoughts, and I remember tweeting. I took a photo of that, and I was like, there's like nothing sexier than when a man takes care of your friends. And
I remember that tweet.
oh my, do you?
I do.
You do?
Yeah. It was really nice that you appreciated me that way.
Like my friends felt loved, I felt loved, and I was just so enamored by you. Oh my gosh, this next memory, another one that was such a standout. Like we would spend the weekends together just because I live so far from you. So like on Friday evenings, I would take the train or a cab to his place, and then we'd spend the weekend together. And I remember on one of the weekends, he was like, hey, I want to go shopping for a bed in the guest bedroom.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Not really.
Okay, so he's like, I want to go shopping for a bed in the guest bedroom, and I was like, okay. So I figured I was gonna go with him, maybe help him pick out a bed or something, because he lived in a 2-bedroom, and the second bedroom you were kind of using to like hang laundry or something, right? It was like a storage area. So we go on base, and we were with your parents. We picked out a twin-size bed, so small and cute. And I remember what your intentions were. And you said, you're like, hey, like when you come over on the weekends, like I want to give you my bed and I want to respect you, so I'm going to sleep in the guest bedroom. And I remember I would see you in the morning. Like I would get up and I would go walk over, and this guy would just be hanging off this bed. It just looked like a grown man sleeping in a little child's bed, and it was just such a loving image. Like it's like burned into my head. A lot of times your leg was kind of hanging off and you just looked so uncomfortable. But that was so loving. And at the time, you know what's funny is I struggled with you like not being attracted to me, or like not pursuing me, you know, in that kind of way. And it was so crazy how in that moment it was like the most loving thing you could do, and yet I struggled with like not feeling attractive. But in hindsight, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just setting standards for our daughter. And I'm thinking like, she might watch this one day, and it's just so incredible. And now that I've gotten to know you too, it's just like, of course Brandon would do that.
Not perfect, but I try.
I'm not saying things turned out perfectly, but like it's just like, wow, like who would do that? That was definitely a husband material moment for sure. I know everything up to now is just more like fun examples, but I remember some of the more serious talks that we've had very early on in our relationship that was surprising to me, because they weren't like ones that I like commonly had in dating relationships. But one of the things I remember very, very early on into our relationship is we went to a coffee shop. You were working at this event, and we took a little coffee break. And as soon as we sat down, you asked the question of like, hey, how do you want your future children to be? And I remember just being taken aback, like, whoa, like, are we going to have this conversation right now? We also were super tired because I think the night before, we didn't sleep. I think we stayed up all night talking or something. And I just remember feeling like a zombie, like having this intense question asked to me. And yeah, just being like taken aback, like, why do you want to have this conversation with me? You know? And I think the underlying principle, what you shared was something like, however you want your children to be, like, you have to be an example of that.
Yeah, and it also helps you to understand what you want to be like. Because it's hard to imagine what it could be like, but if you can do it for someone else, like your child, you can I think identify better what qualities and traits you want to embody.
I know you're going to say that your memory is terrible for these things, but do you know what prompted you to ask that question that day?
Yeah, I think because I've always thought that if I was dating someone, it was for the to explore the long term, and these are long term type of questions. So, of course, I would ask them.
So, that was the first one, and I think the second big conversation we had, it was maybe like 3 months into our relationship, and I think at that point, Brandon had expressed to me that he had intentions of proposing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you definitely did, because I remember in this conversation, I just thought we were going out to a taco dinner, and we sit down, and I remember you go, so what's your history with finances? Like, what did you learn growing up from it? What did your parents teach you? And you just wanted to have this conversation. And I remember you're like, I'll start, and you kind of shared your history with it, which I don't remember too much of. But I know that you were educating yourself like crazy in preparation of us getting married. And I remember you were reading Dave Ramsey and learning about like this and that. And budgeting. And the thing you shared that stood out to me was, I remember you saying like, hey, these are my intentions. Like, I'm going to pay off all of my college loans, and then I'm going to buy your ring, and then we're going to get together. Like, I'm not going to start our family with debt or something. Yeah. I just thought, like, who has these conversations? And you did just that. Like, I remember I was with you, and you're like, boom, like, you pressed that submit button, you paid off whatever remaining amount you had, and then you bought my diamond ring. Jeez, man. And then I think this last example was, you know, one time we were just hanging out at your apartment, and we were at your dining table, and I remember you sitting me down and asking me, like, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? Back then, I was so scared to dream big. Even that's still something I struggle with now, but I remember you trying to lubricate that process, and you were like, just think out loud, it's okay, like, I'll type it up for you. And I just very hesitantly threw out a few things, and Brandon put together this, like, I was gonna say obituary, not an obituary, but basically it's like, you know, in like neatly organized paragraphs of like the kind of person that I'm gonna be. And I still have that email. It's so beautiful. I remember one of the things you wrote in there was, Jenn is like such a fun and great cook that even like her kids get so excited to open up their lunch boxes, and like it makes all the snack pack kids jealous, and something like that. It was so sweet. And like back then I didn't even have a YouTube channel, but it was something like, you know, people come to her for like skincare advice because she's so passionate about reviewing products or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you sent me this email, and I remember you were like, so boldly, you're like, I want to be married in 3 to 5 years. And again, I'm like to me, or like in general? And I'm now that I think about it, I'm so impressed by like how boldly you really led us, even though I was more reserved or hesitant, especially in these big areas. You do so much of that for us now too. Like, I really rely on you for, you know, your leadership and guidance, and how you make some of the scary things really fun, and how underlying everything you do, you always have like these big picture goals and dreams, and you only want better for us. And yeah, I didn't quite articulate it this morning while I was journaling, but I'm really thankful for that. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. I love you too. Yeah, and I think yeah, like, how did I know like he was the one I wanted to marry? Like, God, he flew to New York from Korea to ask my parents for permission to propose to me. And I think that was just kind of like the icing, you know, on the cake and stuff. But it was like just all these little moments that I didn't realize were happening to that, you know, led to this. And looking back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like God the hand really, like his fingerprints were really all over. And even the tiniest ways, like the tiniest things that would bring immense joy to me, that was there, along with like, you know, some of the tougher, bigger conversations that we had to have. Yeah, I'm so excited that our daughter's gonna have a dad like you. And I know you want to disqualify yourself so bad right now. But like, even if we mess up, like, this is the character of who you are. I've known this about you. It was true 8 years ago when I met you. It's true today. And I think you're just learning how to become more of that and find freedom in that. And you're always striving to be more and better, right? But you're also trying to balance it with not whipping yourself and crushing yourself against your own expectation, right?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Well, let's enjoy the sunset. It's gonna set in about 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And we're gonna wrap up in a little bit.
We used to hang around town pretty late. I spent the week thinking about our next date. It was easier then, so much easier then. Or like that time I
I wanted
picked
to
you
thank
up
Maddie as
outside.
well for this awesome question.
Thank you, Maddie.
We know that she's kind of fresh out of college and in a big life transition, and I think there was some pretty great takeaways that I think we'd like to leave you with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just as an encouragement, I guess that question is so loaded, right? And I feel like already when you think of that, it feels like, oh, this person has to tick all the boxes and, you know, I have to be 100% sure. But it's really hard to define it that way. But I would say one of the biggest markers to look out for or pay attention to is, you know, if you're in a relationship and you genuinely feel like this person is showing you that he loves you, not just in like an emotional kind of way, but his actions are showing that he's in support of you becoming the best person possible, right? So if he's encouraging things and seeing like certain gifts and strengths and helping to nurture that, or giving you room and being curious and interested in all of that, I feel like that's something that was very prominent in our relationship, and I don't know that I was even able to be that aware of it when I was in it, because I was still, you know, figuring things out.
So we really enjoyed answering that question, and we'd love to have some more of these Q&A type sessions in the future, maybe as a small segment. So if that's something that interests you, please leave a question in the comment below, and we'll be sure to get to them into the future.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and hit the like button. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in our next video. Bye.
Bye.